MMA Now, powered by Film On TV Network.
I'm David Kano with MMA Now TV. And right now we're in location in Bel Air, California, with the one, the only Sam Spira. How you doing?
Good to see you.
For those that don't know who Sam Spira, he's been in MMA for 20 years, managed Randy Couture and amongst others.
True.
How long has it been officially that you've been part of MMA?
Wow. Probably at least 10 years. But actually I was at UFC 1.
You were at UFC 1.
I was there in Denver, in McNichols Arena.
How was that event when you were there?
Insane. It was chaos.
Did people know what to expect when what was
None.
the expectation?
Nobody had a clue. I mean, it was like the first fight, just like when you watched it, on TV, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen now? It was like that as well.
Was there some element of danger that maybe one of these guys might die?
There was a little bit of that, but I mean, the real thing was, wow, I wonder how a boxer will do. I wonder how a wrestler will do. And what's this jiu-jitsu stuff? Which we obviously learned very quickly.
Right. So from UFC 1 to 200, did you ever think that UFC would come this far?
No, I figured that it was a goner. I mean, back in the late 90s, I thought it was done.
Well, we're here because the UFC sold officially for $4 billion to the WME IMG. Darren Rovell from ESPN, Jeremy Botter from Flow Combat Sports, they broke the story. But before they broke the story, you actually told me a year ago that the UFC was going to sell once they got New York. And you actually thought they were going to get New York last year. It happened a little bit later, but they did sell. How did you know that?
Well, actually, I don't even remember how I knew it. That was about a year ago. I remember
a year ago.
We were having lunch. We were with Nate.
Right.
Right. And so, I don't even remember how I knew it then. I just knew I saw some of the pieces coming together. I knew a few things from some of my clients, but I mean, overall, I was piecing it together, and I'm like, this is what's going to happen. And then I knew there was a package that was floating around.
So you knew there was a package floating around from the people that were looking to purchase, or was it the UFC soliciting?
Well, previously, from what I understand, they nearly had a deal with Blackstone, and they were apart supposedly by a few $100 million, and Lorenzo wanted to hang out and maximize every dollar. So that's what happened in the end. I think they managed through some tough seas.
Do you think, was it more your clients, the insider information that you knew, or was it you actually just putting the pieces to the puzzle together?
It was both. A lot of it was gut, and I'd been hearing things from folks in Hollywood. I was hearing things about that TV deals, that were or weren't happening. How Fox was feeling about their relationship. What the ratings were, and so I was hearing a few things here and there, and also I knew that that Lorenzo and Frank don't do anything without a plan. They look way ahead, and it seemed to me like they really wanted to be in football. That was sort of the next stage of their lives.
And that's what you said. You said that football would be after they sold the UFC. Do you still? There's been rumors that were not rumors, but Mark Davis, owner of the Raiders, said that he wants to move to Vegas, and so far there's been no anything from the owners. Everyone looks to this may happen, but is that the team that they might take over, or what's your gut on the NFL?
Well, I think they have some legal hurdles if they were to become owners, but I think their relationships are strong with a few owners that are very important, including Jerry Jones. But actually, the leading site to put the stadium on is a site that's owned by the Fertittas.
Really?
Really. So I think what will happen is it'll likely end up on that site. How they finance it will be interesting. But, they'll end up with a stadium. I think if the Raiders want to go there, and this is just, my opinion, that they'll have to be selling some portion of the team. The Fertittas. I think the Fertittas will end up being a minority owner and owning the land, and that's where the stadium will be. I mean, I think that's actually. I think there was an article in Las Vegas Review Journal from about a week and a half ago about this particular site, and that the Fertittas control that site. I think originally they were going to do a stadium for the UFC on that site.
Oh, instead of the T-Mobile Arena.
No, it's a different site. Well, yeah, T-Mobile will get right, but they were going to do their own just for the UFC.
Right. So you never had a valuation on it a year ago. Your gut was there, or along with your insider information, that they were going to sell once they got New York with the rise of Ronda and Connor. But did you know that it'd be put at a $4 billion valuation, or what was your valuation back then?
I mean, I don't know their numbers. No one really knows what their pay-per-views are other than, them, their accountants, and their bondholders, who actually Mark Cuban is one of them. And they all have to sign, extensive confidentiality agreements, when they become bondholders. So, I mean, you could pick some stuff up from Standards and Poor's as they do their rating on the bonds, and there were some things that have been floated out there, but I mean, it's no one really knew what their numbers were. It could have been anything. So it's hard to say, but wow, that's a big number. And I think they still owe. I think they paid down because they had 2 credit facilities, and I think they're long term. I think they still owe $435 million, something like that. I think they paid down their short term, which at one time was actually about maxed out. That one was about 250. But so I think that whatever it is, the price, the real price, that they're purchasing, it's got to be less debt. And I don't know whether they restructured the debt. I saw some mention in there from the press release about Deutsche Bank and a few other financial institutions. So who knows what.
Well, a lot of people think that they bought in for $2 million and made $4 billion, but that's not the actual number, because they put a lot of money into it. But no one would ever know what the actual.
Someone would.
Someone would be behind the scenes there.
Yeah, and and I'm sure, that they've taken out a lot of money. They're very shrewd. They've made some great moves.